What's going on, guys? It's Steven here from Digital Renovations. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, hit the little bell icon, and learn to tango if you want to help me out here and stay up to date with the latest videos from Digital Renovations. Today we're going to be working on a web app that tracks a DVD collection. We'll be using that database we made earlier in Docker and building out the backend APIs using Node and the Express framework. We'll kick things off by taking a look at our Docker Compose file to refresh ourselves with some of the credentials and then start work on our development. First up, we'll open the Docker Compose file that we've made, db build YAML in Visual Studio Code. Perfect. So the important things that we want to see here are our Postgres password and the port that we have exposed. So we're going to need to remember password 1, super secure, and the port 5432, which is our default port for Postgres. Now to speed things up a little for us, I've already got that up and running. I used admin to create another database in there called DVD_library that we'll now use to connect with. And I've created the table DVDs. We can take a quick look at how that's set up in admin with 4 columns: ID, name, barcode, and media, with types integer, where it's an auto increment for the ID, varying characters for the name, a big int for the barcode, and varying characters again for the media type, which is just going to be DVD or Blu-ray. Now let's jump in and take a look at how we actually set up the API. First off, in our projects folder, we're going to make a directory for our API to reside in. We're going to cd into that, and we're going to initialize our new node project with npm init. It's going to ask us a few questions, so we're going to give the package a name DVD API, but we're going to do that in lowercase because you can no longer do uppercase. Version 1's fine. Description, our API for tracking DVDs. Entry point's going to be index.js, that's fine. Test command we won't worry about. Same with git, same with keywords. Author, license, perfect. Alright, is this okay? It sure is. Next up, we're going to install Express and Postgres. So Express is our API framework and Postgres is going to be the connector. So npm install Express and pg for Postgres. It's going to take a few moments, run through an install process and get everything it needs to run our project. Excellent. Now with that done, we're going to need to create a few files. So the first one we're going to create is a new item with path of here, name of db.js, and we're going to use that to have our database connector. We're going to do another one with api.js, and that's going to store all our API routing. And then finally our entry point, which is going to be the index.js, and that one's going to be our server entry point that provides access to everything and pulls it all together. Let's jump in and start building out our database connector. So we'll go code db.js. Alright, to build out our database connector, we're going to create our connection to Postgres. And we're going to create a new object. We'll call it pool. And we're going to use the pool that we've pulled from the Postgres connector. Alright, it's going to take a few values, so user Postgres. Cannot type today apparently. Host is also misspelled and will be localhost. Our database will be DVD_library. Our password is password 1, and our port 5432. Excellent. Now I've got our credentials. We will use module.exports to return our database connector pool. Excellent. All right. Next thing we're going to look at is our API endpoints. So open api.js. Now we're going to do our imports here, so we will set up express. We will create a router with the express library. And we will grab our database connector pool. Perfect. Let's build some routes. We're going to build a few. So we're going to have one to obviously create a DB. We're obviously going to have one to create a DVD in the database. So we will have router.post for the post method. We're going to use a /DVDs endpoint. It will be asynchronous in the request and response. And for right now, we'll leave it empty. We'll build these out in a minute. So we're going to create a few of these routes. So we're also going to need a get. I might do a few gets actually, but this first one is going to be used to retrieve all the DVDs. We might do another get. We'll give it an additional element to the endpoint of search, and we're going to use that for searching for a DVD by name. We'll do one more just to be thorough. We'll do this a little bit differently. We'll do one with the barcode here for searching by barcode, which is probably actually going to be the main one we end up using. So I want to do this as a way of searching through my DVD library based on barcodes, hopefully by able to just scan the barcode to tell if I already own a DVD or not. We're going to do an update. We'll do a put. Maybe later down the line we'll build in a patch so we can just update individual elements, but we'll do a put, and we will update by ID. And then lastly, we'll build out a delete so that we can delete, and we'll add an ID in there so that we know what to delete. Pretty handy. And then we will do a module exports of the router so that our index is able to import the router. Let's build these out. So I'll start with our ability to add a DVD. So a lot of these are going to be a bit repetitive, so feel free to skip ahead once you've seen the first few. But first off, we're going to build out our request body. So we're going to need a few values for that. We'll have the name, barcode, media. Have them as the request.body. Next, we're going to build our SQL query. So the body of the query is going to be insert into the DVDs table. our name, barcode, and media, and we'll split out our values. Excellent, then we'll specify our values. And that's it for our query. So next we actually want to do something. We've got our request body, we've got our query. Let's actually run the query. And we'll do that in a try and catch for a little bit of error handling. So set up our try, and catch. For catch we'll use the error. Alright, so our try. We're going to grab the result of an await pool.query, and we'll use the query value. And the response we send back for the API call is going to be in JSON format. And we're going to use the results.row 0. There should only be a single result for this because we're inserting into the database. Now into our error, now into our catch. In the event of an error, we want to console.log the error. And we'll also send a response with the status of 500 and a JSON payload with a message error creating DVD. And we've now built our first endpoint. We're going to do the same now for our get all responses. So this one's a bit simpler. I'm just going to do a try and catch. Try, catch, we'll grab the error. Now, within our try, we want the result. I'm going to wait pool.query, and we'll just drop the query straight in. So I just want to select everything from DVD's table. And the response we want to send back, JSON format. We want to send back every row that we get. If something goes wrong, same as before, we're going to console.log our error. And then we want to send back response with a status of 500 and a JSON payload that says message error fetching DVDs. Perfect. Alright, now let's have a look at our search by name. First thing we're going to want to do is grab a name parameter from the endpoint. Name equals request query name. Now we'll do our try and catch. Try, catch, Grab the error. Within our try, we're going to specify our query. The main query will be select star from DVDs where name I like, and we use the value. What's our value? Our value is going to be the name that we grabbed. But we'll specify it could have anything before or after it. And now we will grab our results from running it. And send a response. JSON result.rows, and send back anything we find with a name that matches that. So there could be multiple items coming back if we search for something like the word the. Less so if we just type a very specific name. In error, same as always, console.log error response status 500 JSON message error searching DVDs. Wonderful. All right. Next up, we're going to do our barcode search. Honestly, this is probably the main endpoint that I'm going to be using outside of adding DVDs. This is where I'll be able to scan out a barcode and make sure I don't already have a DVD when I'm out at the shops. Later we'll build on this so we can check against the name to make sure that we don't have a Blu-ray or a different edition of the same DVD, so we can scan a barcode, understand what the name of the movie is or TV show, and then search that in the database, confirm that we don't have it under a different barcode number to paint a full picture if we have it. But for now, let's keep it simple. So within our get, we will have a barcode variable, and we'll grab that as a parameter from the request. We'll do a try and catch. Grab the error. Now try, we're going to set up our query. Select star from DVDs where barcode equals the value, and we'll just set the value here as barcode. I'm doing this a different way each time. Firstly, to make people mad, and secondly, so you can see there's a few different ways of doing it. Mostly to make people mad though. And then we're going to have response JSON. We'll send back the rows. Because once again, there could be, well, theoretically, there should only be one. But if we were to add something twice, theoretically it could appear multiple times, and that would be an interesting result in itself, because then we'd need to do something about it. All right. And now we're going to do our standard response. So we're going to do console.log the error. Might mix things up a little bit here. We're going to go response status and do a 404 DVD not found. JSON, we might even make that our message. Message, DVD not found. Now we're going to deal with updates. I don't imagine this is going to get a lot of use, but if we're building a basic CRUD application, we need the in CRUD. We're going to do a put method here. We'll be matching and replacing everything. Maybe we could make it a bit smarter and use a patch method down the line, so we can just update a single value for a DVD or a Blu-ray, but that's maybe overkill for something we're barely going to use. Let's jump into it. We're going to grab the ID that we need to update. And we'll grab the values from the body of the API call. Request.body. Now we're going to do our try and catch. Alright, so we will get our result from await pool.query update DVDs set name. That's our first value. Barcode. That's our second value. And media as our third value, where ID, where ID equals our fourth value. Perfect. Now we'll set our values. Name, barcode, media, ID. Got too many parentheses here, rip this one out. Excellent. Alright. Then our response JSON is going to be result.rows 0. Should only be updating one thing. We're updating it by a unique identifier. Otherwise, if we error, we will console.log the error. And response status 500 JSON. Set a message of error updating DVD. We're getting some angry lines here. What have we done wrong? Ah, of course. There we go. Missing a quotation mark. Last one now. We've got to work out how we're going to delete an item. I buy lots of DVDs used, so there's a chance that I'll add it and then realize that the DVD was damaged, and I want to remove it so I don't mistakenly think, oh, I have that, but actually it's just a broken copy of the DVD. Let's get moving with this. So we'll grab our ID value as a request parameter, because it's going to come in within the endpoint. We'll do our try and catch. Await pool.query Now query is going to be delete from DVDs where ID equals value 1, and that value is going to be the ID. And if we're successful there, we're going to go response, JSON, message, DVD, deleted successfully. And if there's an issue, within our error, we'll console.log the error. And response status 500 JSON. We'll send a message. Message error deleting DVD. Save it. Boom. Awesome. Have a quick look. We got any red squigglies? Not seeing any red squiggle yet. We do have one here. Why have we got one here? Because this is in JSON format. And now it is. That's made things far angrier. What do we got? Ah, I put it in the wrong spot. Oh, everything's going horribly wrong. There we go. Alright. Fantastic. Now we can move on. Well, now I'll save it again, then we can move on. Last is going to be our index.js file. So open index.js. It's going to be the one that pulls everything together. It's wonderful. So what do I need for this? We're going to grab our Express framework. Express. We're going to create our app using Express. We're going to grab our router. Which is our API we just made. We're going to tell our app to use express.json. So that tells our app to use Express's inbuilt ability to use JSON. And now we'll go app.use and we'll tell it to use our API. And the API is going to be API router. Getting too trigger happy with the parentheses there. Alright, what else do we need? We're going to need a port. Let's tell us to run on port 4000. I'm going to create a listener. App listen, port. Alright. And once the listener is set up, we'll just tell it to go console.log server listening on port. We'll be consistent. We'll put all these in single quotes, not double. Excellent. All right. Put our own friend the semicolon in. Save that. All right. Hopefully you're still there. Now it's go time. Let's run this thing. Jump back in here. I'm going to go node index.js to get this started. Hold your breath. Perfect. Well, almost. I mean, I obviously stuffed up the bit that says what port it's listening on, but with the exception of that, we're looking good. Let's quickly jump out and see if we can fix that though, because it's going to bug me. Alright, back in here. What's gone so horribly wrong? I think we're using quotes when we should be using, I don't know what it's called, I think tilde. No, it's the one underneath tilde, whatever that is. But that allows us to put in the variables in here. Save that, back over here. Is this going to work for us? There we go. Now the server is listening on port 4000. If you've got any errors, look, so did I. This is like the third or fourth run through I've done on this. I'm just glad I made no typos this time. So look, if you need some support, go back, look over the video, drop any questions you've got in the comments section below. I'm happy to help out. Google will also be your friend here. Next up, let's open Postman and test it out. So I've already created an environment variable here called base URL with a value of localhost 4000, so I don't need to keep typing it over and over again. If we jump into our collections, I've put together a DVDs collection here, which has all the endpoints that we're going to be using. So if we want to have a quick look here at our post, we can see I've set it up for Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. We've got our body set up here. Base URL, we're setting it to post to /API/DVDs. So when we set up our listener here and we've said use /API and then API router, that's saying that we're putting /API in the endpoint, and then from within our API router, whatever this endpoint is. So from here, say okay, fantastic, send. Sends off our message, and inconveniently comes back with a 500 error creating DVD. So we know that it's hit our server, but something has clearly gone wrong. So let's take a look. So it's saying it can't read the properties of undefined. It's reading a 0. So let's jump into our post endpoint and see what the issue is. So because it's come back with the console log and the 500 error message, it's been something that we've tried that's the issue. And it's saying it can't read the result. Now I think the issue here, we can see this row property may not exist on type. We should have rows here. So click save. We'll restart our server. So it's listening again, so let's try again. Click send. And success. We can see that it's come back. It's been assigned an ID and it exists. Wonderful. Let's validate that. Let's retrieve all the DVDs that exist. So we're going to be doing a get API DVDs here. Send. Perfect, and we can see an assortment of DVDs already set up. Obviously I've been testing, we have Charlie and the Chocolate Factory in there a few times. So why don't we try updating one of them. Got ID 6 here, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. We'll jump into update. We're going to update ID 6. We're going to call it Charlie and My Chocolate Factory. Click send. Come back, looks like it's been updated. We'll retrieve a DVD. Conveniently, it looks like I did not save all of these endpoints. Drop that in here. We'll double check what we're looking for with retrieve a DVD. So we can search here based on name or based on barcode. Let's search based on barcode. So when we updated, we can grab the barcode from here, retrieve a DVD, put the barcode in, click send. We can see that we have our 3 different entries because they're all the same barcode. We can see ID number 6 has been updated to Charlie and My Chocolate Factory. But we know that's wrong, and we have several of them logged in here now, so why don't we go to remove that one? So we know the ID is 6, we'll jump in here. We want to delete ID 6. DVD deleted successfully. Perfect. Let's double check that it's gone. Retrieve all DVDs. We'll have a look in here and no more Charlie and My Chocolate Factory. The only one we haven't tested yet is retrieving a DVD. So retrieving a DVD. Oops, sorry, no. The only one we haven't tested is searching a DVD, and we search based on the name. So I've got a test search built in here. We're searching for the word the in the title. Let's send. Excellent. And we can see here that we've got both of our Charlie and the Chocolate Factories showing up. There we go, we did it. This is probably our longest video to date, so thank you for everyone who's actually stuck around to the end of it. We're going to keep building on this. I'm going to put together probably a React front end using Next.js, hopefully that can scan barcodes for us and run searches and do all sorts of fancy stuff, but I don't want to give away too much just yet because I haven't actually worked out how I'm going to do it. So maybe all of that's wrong. With that said, don't forget to like, share, subscribe if you found this helpful and want more content like this. Until next time, have a good one.